Hi everybody. My name is Cristina, and I'm a Certified Ascension Coach with Twin Flames Universe. And I'm here today with Kiran and Kanisha, also Certified Ascension Coaches with Twin Flames Universe. And we're here to talk about how spirit guides impact your twin flame journey. So this is an interesting topic because the twin flame journey is a spiritual journey. And so, yeah. Without further ado, we can start our discussion.
Yeah, so for me, I really love the fact that we do have like angels and spirit guides to really help support us. I found that there would be times where I'd feel really stuck on this journey, and I would kind of just feel a lot of fear that I was moving around. And so one of the things that Jeff and Shalia had taught us is that we all have like our own spirit guides, and sometimes they will like shift out our lives and we'll have new spirit guides come in. And I thought that was really cool to know that we kind of have like an army of support on top of like God's support. And that really brought a lot of peace to me, because I just found that like I was never ever doing this journey alone, along with the fact that we do have a twin flame, so you're never doing this journey alone. But to have that extra support, it allowed me to really start kind of just calling on my spirit guides. I was actually just joking around earlier when we were trying to get onto the live, and I was like, all right, spirit guide, can you help us here and give us some support? And I mean, we were able to get onto the live. So these are things that I've done where I've had to just kind of surrender and just ask out loud, like, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need. And I've always either received a sign or an answer, or something's always just been taken care of for me. But I love that we have the opportunity to know that there are just spirits on the other side that are really guiding us to be able to get us where we need to go. I think I heard once, I don't know if it was from Jeff and Shalia, but I did hear once that we're kind of like the bowling ball and our spirit guides are the bumper pads, and they help us kind of like stay on path and make sure that we're headed down the right direction. And so yeah, I'm really excited to kind of go deeper into what that brings up for you guys and what that experience has been like on your twin flame journey.
Yeah, I can start. For me, my first experience with Spirit Guide, like really as calling, like that was before I joined Twin Flame Universe. I was doing what is called? I say that just before, I don't remember now. Well,
Shaman?
yeah, shamanic journey. Yes, I was doing more of that. And I tried doing that, and I met, like when you go in a higher plan, you can met like with a master guide, a spirit guide at another level, and that's kind of started for me, because they say that to enter this inner realm, you need to kind of have a guide, and that's where I came in contact with my first house spirit guide that I was very able to see and to call like that. It was kind of an animal that I never was able to define. And I'm pretty sure now, with the experience I have, is probably my soul pet. But it was really at this time was really like helpful to have like this animal close to me. And at this time, also it was just before when I joined Twin Flame Universe. And so I joined Twin Flame Universe. I went deeper with everything that about Twin Flame, about God more too. And I realized that I had more spirit guides that came, so they're always at the number 4 now since this time. And there was always it's very organized for me. So because I always to set boundaries and to be in the world like that, I always like when I need to work on that, I'm always visualizing myself in the middle of the circle. And with with the circle, I build boundaries and nothing can enter there. So it's my safe space. And that's why I have like 4 spirit guides, because they are like in each side and in front of behind, like that's kind of protected. They each have a role. So before, I remember I had one spirit guide was a Native American woman. That was just before I was starting to work on being transgender. And that's very interesting because she was today masculine, but she was in a woman body. So that really helped me healing that too. And although at this time, I remember the one I had in my back was Archangel Michael, because at this time I needed a lot of protection because I was feeling very like insecure. And then in front of me, that was really funny. It was kind of like a very weird thing. Look, I don't know what it was exactly, but it was kind of a fantastic thing that was glowing and super shiny. It was kind of super small, like a cute thing. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was like that. And you know, a lot of time when I was going, taking a walk, in the night or something, I was just because sometimes you know I'm like, oh, which way I go, so I was just like, oh, I don't know where. So this spirit guy was going in a way, and every single time I found something in this way that was really cool. So I was using a lot for my physical reality to like, what should I do, where should I go. It was more in this way. And I'm not using that much. It's more like I don't know, it's not something I do like every day. It's just when I feel, I kind of call on to them, and they help me. But I know they are here. I just don't need the, how say that, to have a really a relationship that kind of like work. It's more something in the back in my mind, that work itself, rather than something that I always see or always in contact consciously with it. And lately, it was 1 year ago. I don't remember. Yes, it was last year when since that I got Harmonious Union, I got married, I got a lot of things in my life that changed, and I reached this point of my healing last year that all my spirit guides changed, all of them. I think it was at the beginning of the year, this year. Everything changed. It really was interesting because at this time, it came in my mind that I wanted to have an assistant dog. As I'm autistic, I realized I can have that will be like amazing for me to have one. So I wanted an assistant dog, and just after my spirit guide changed, and one of my spirit guide that came was this um, soul pet that I had before, but on the form of a dog. It's very interesting, and like the Archangel Michael that was there just disappeared. Now I have Archangel Metatron because it's more about Metatron was like an archangel that walk on Earth as a human, and that's really more about now that's what I'm doing. I don't need protection. I know I'm safe, but I need help to kind of bring God on Earth. So that's my path to do. So it's very interesting that they changed like that, and yeah, and I don't remember the other one because they're kind of not always super clear. But I know that in front of me now I have more like an elf, like kind of like a dark elf you see in Marvel. They look more like that, and they are more, like a leadership thing. So for me, that's how my relationship with spirit guides are kind of changing depending of where I want to go, but they kind of surrender me and accompany me in my journey, if I can say. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I wasn't really aware of the idea of spirit guides too much, like before starting Twin Flames Universe. But like, I did always believe in angels, and like, yeah, like my relationship with God has really changed a lot during my twin flame journey. And that's kind of been like my main piece that I've been working on a lot is in my relationship with God, and just kind of like feeling like I can, it's feeling like I can always ask for support from God, in that like whenever something is unclear, like that to me has been a really big shift. Like whenever, I've deepened my relationship with God through like the inner work taught by the teachings of union, to where like I feel very connected to my intuition, and I feel very connected to the messages I receive like in my heart, like the inner knowings that I receive in my heart. And something that has really, like, I've become like more aware of, and it feels really good, is that whenever I don't understand something, or whenever I know that I have a block, but I'm just having a lot of trouble like overcoming it, I always ask God for like an awareness, or like an experience, or an awareness, or like something, and I always get it like within a day at most, of just like, I need an experience to help me like put this into context or to understand this. And like, I always get it. And like, that's just amazing to like recognize that like we aren't alone. We really can receive all of the support we need, and we really do just have to ask for it. You know, like our connection to the spirit world is, you know, it can be as light and easy as you want it to be, right? And like, yeah, like support is always there for you if you're willing to receive it. Um, you know, and yeah, like I also want to mention, you know, Jeff and Shalia have mentioned, they mentioned this in Twin Flame Ascension School, but there are, you know, TFAS, there are TFAS angels that can support you with your harmonious union and perfect union, your union journey, right? You can always call upon that. And like, I really feel that the extent to which you receive support from, you know, like spiritual support from like the spirit realm, from God, really has to do with how willing you are, how open you are to be loved in that space. But yeah, like, you know, it's a really beautiful experience to like recognize you need support and call in that experience to help you connect the pieces and help you understand, and like you always get it. So
Yeah, I love exactly what you shared there. It's absolutely true. It's like you really have the opportunity of realizing that you're never doing this alone. You're never really actually walking this earth alone. And as a child, I always experienced a lot of situations where I didn't quite feel safe. And so I was always trying to cultivate a safe space within myself. And I had the opportunity of getting my aura read in Sedona when we had I'm losing my words here. There was a wedding. There was a whole shenanigans. There was everything. It was amazing. But at the wedding, they had a aura reading, and I didn't really think too much of it because I got to see a lot of people go ahead of me, and I was like, okay, let's do this. This should be fun. And when she read my aura, she was like, wow, you have 13 angels if you're so protected. And it felt really relieving to know that a lot of the work that I had done was really like, yes, you absolutely are protected. And that I could actually just relax into that. That was the first time I really felt like I can just relax. It doesn't mean I get to just go walk out in traffic and I'll be protected. That's not that kind of thing. But like that I can, anytime I'm feeling fear, I know that I can call on. A lot of the times I hear Archangel Uriel. I don't know why, but it's just the name that I hear. And so it's like, okay, like that's what I'm going to go with. That's how I feel. And really claim that support. And ironically, the same day, but earlier that day, I had sang on stage, and the background music that I had didn't have background vocals till towards the end of the song. But as I started the song, I remember hearing like a bass voice in the back. And I thought it was Jeff singing in the back. I was like, oh, he's like singing with me. That's really cool. And so I ended up asking him later, like, were you singing in the back? And he was like, no, you have a chorus of angels singing with you. And I was kind of like laughed it off. And then later I got my aura reading and I was like, oh my gosh, he was right. I do literally have like a chorus of angels around me at all times. And it was just a really cool just validation from God that's like, I have you taken care of. It's okay. And anytime you feel any fear, you can just surrender it and know that you're loved and protected and you're looked after. And that has deeply brought a lot of just peace to me. But it also has, as a mother, brought peace to me knowing that my own children have their own set of spirit guides and angels looking after them, and kind of just being able to like just like send a prayer and be like, all right, spirit team who looks after my oldest, keep that one out of trouble if you can, or like just guide him in the right direction. So it feels really good to know that each person has, like I said, their own army of spirit guides and angels who look after them.
Yeah, it's true. It's very nice because it's like I don't know how is it in other country, but in France, at least in my region, we have a thing that like there is one saint that is associated with a car accident. So like when people like go and drive for a long time, and people they put this kind of medal of this saint in the car to be protected. And it's really like yeah, so it's like and if someone like in my region it's like you got the first car, there is someone offering you as a present this kind of medal that you need to put in your car. And I know that in my family everyone has one in the car. I don't have car, but I know when we have car, someone will get like kind of buy that for me. So it's really cool because yeah, there is like a lot of different spirit guides that you can have. I think it can be like angels, it can be like, as I said, like other spirit guides when I was describing, but it can be a many things. It can be also like ascended master. It can be a very it's really it's depending of your relationship with God, I will say, because literally the spirit guides, they are just like another form of your relationship with God. It's like your twin flame is also like, the relationship with God in physical realm. So here it's more a spiritual realm that having a relationship with God. So you can have, yeah, yeah, I saw in the comment Joanne say it's Christopher. Yeah, it's like this saint that we have this medal for. So it's really nice that it's very diverse, that we can all have our own, how to say that, set of of spirit guides. That's very personal. So
Yeah, I think I read somewhere where you can have like there's 6 different spirit guides you had brought up. Like, so we have the archangels, the ascended masters, and then we have past loved ones, which is a really cool thing too for me. I think that's something where I've even called on, like, I have a favorite aunt that passed a few years ago, and there would be times where I would talk to her, and I had a really cool experience where um, I was just feeling really low, and I was driving, and I found myself just kind of break out into tears, and you can't be on the highway and crying and bawling. So I pulled over, and I just spoke to her, and I was like, I just need a sign. I'm feeling really just low these days. And her name is Mary Lou. And so I get back on the road, and I come to a stoplight, and I look up, and the truck in front of me has a bumper sticker on the back of his car that says Mary Lou. And I just start crying again because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, even though she's not here, she is here. Like, her spirit is still here. And that allowed me to really just, like, I don't even know. It just feels like anytime I need to speak to her, I absolutely can. And she hears me as clearly as she was physically here. And then the other spirit guides, like you mentioned, with spirit animals. And then there's this thing called a helper angel. I think I understand it's like a freelance angel. I don't know what that quite means, but there's just like different kinds of just they're the ones who like look out for like humans for like specific situations. And so I thought that was really cool. So yeah, you have complete support, and it's really just a reminder that you're never alone. And I think on this journey it could feel really easy to feel alone. And that's one thing that I really love and enjoy about this community, is that it really creates a safe space, a safe haven for people to come and learn about spirituality and be able to really learn who God is and our purpose here, and to be able to release all of the illusions that we have picked up from society and the world, and really be able to come back to understanding our true divinity and who we really are. And so I absolutely love that. And I feel like a lot of people's spirit guides are part of who led them to this community and led them to their truth here.
Yeah, I love that. Like I really feel you know, I haven't really like cultivated like a deep relationship with like any particular guide at this time. It just wasn't something that I was particularly driven to do on my journey, but it is a desire in my heart that I like that is unfolding. And like for me, a lot of, yeah, like I mentioned before, a lot of my journey had just been about like deepening my relationship with God and with spirituality. And like, yeah, I feel that regardless of how you feel called to develop and nurture that relationship, the process that we, that the teachings of union give you is so powerful, and it's going to be the same for everybody, like regardless of like how you're choosing to experience that relationship with God, right? It has to do with choosing to be really present with your feelings, because that's how we can properly receive messages from God. And someone just commented, Tara just commented, they come through my dreams and meditation a lot. And yeah, I feel that too, that like the more that I'm willing to be just present with my feelings, the more that I'm able to like understand how God speaks to me, much more clearly, right? Because I think a lot of the time, and I see this in sessions a lot too, is that people will disregard their intuition, and people will disregard like, yeah, that little nagging feeling that they feel, or like that little thing that felt off. And then later that leads to like self-betrayal. And I think that like that's a big piece that I've worked through on my journey, is really trusting my intuition. And like what the teachings of union, really help you learn and clarify is like, it's not just about blind faith in your intuition, but rather being present with like, well, why am I feeling this intuitive nudge? Why do I have this nagging feeling, and working through the feelings of it? And it really helps you like understand how God relates to you. And it really helps like, it helps you get like clarity that like God's always been there, and like you can always trust, the love in your heart.
Yeah, when you talked about how sometimes we don't always follow our intuitions, it reminds me of the meme that I see. It says, "My spirit guides be like," and they like hit their forehead because we're just not paying attention. They're like, "What other signs can I give this girl for her to like go this direction?" But I also remember asking at a very young age, like there's so many of us, like how can God like take care of us all at once? And it's like, why wouldn't we assume that he also has support? Like it's God, of course he's going to call in that support, because yes, he can do it all, but at the same time it's like we all deserve so much attention, and being able to learn how to give that to ourselves. And as we cultivate that, that understanding that it's not just us, we have such a massive support. And I like, it even makes me think of like going into like ancestors and stuff like that. There are so many of us who are moving through being the generational curse breaker in the family, the one who is putting the end to these patterns and this misaligned belief, so that the next generation isn't continuing that on. And I think that's one of the things that I am deeply grateful about this work, is that I don't continue these patterns and passing them on to my children, that they are really starting to pass on and learn what unionism is. And that was something I actually just had a conversation with my oldest, where we were having a conversation about he asked me like, what religion do I believe in? And I was like, well, I'm a unionist. And he's like, well, what is that? And I was like, that is where everyone comes together, and our religion is love. And he's 9, and he was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm behind that one. And I'm glad you understand that. So it's really wonderful to be able to again like be that person in our generation and in our family to really start the healing for the next generation to come.
Yeah, it's true. I like what you say with the ancestor and like and people that like passed and that, because that's not really something I resonate personally. But I know that Stephanie had experience about that because like this last month she was more cooking, and it's something that she is learning that she doesn't really have that much experience. So she had to learn, and she say many times that like my grandmother that was cooking for us for a long time, she was sometime with her in the kitchen and helping her and supporting her. And that's true. Like when I was young, my grandmother was living like the floor under us in the same house. Every lunch we were eating at her place. So when I was very young, I was always helping cooking in the morning. So it was really like I learned to cook, I don't know, when I was 42 or something. So it's just a normal thing for me. So it's yeah, being in the kitchen or like cooking the manner she's cooking, it's totally normal for me. So that's why it's very funny that like Stephanie like have kind of visit from my grandmother that was providing love in the cooking. So it's really cute.
Yeah, and I want to also mention like as you start to do this inner work and as you start to like really develop a relationship with Jeff and Shalia, like I've experienced like a lot of times where Jeff and Shalia will come through my dreams, or like I can kind of tap into like the consciousness that like they've established through their work, and like receive advice that way. But yeah, like I've definitely, whenever I have a dream with Jeff and Shalia in it, like that's always helping me move forward on my twin flame journey. Like a lot of times, like it's giving me um it's I see it also as like it's like something to pay attention to when it happens, and like it's always giving me some idea, some clarity to a situation that I'm working through. But yeah, like spirit guides don't necessarily have to be like people in the spirit world necessarily, right? Like it can be God moves through everybody, and you can receive like in dreams, like you can receive like that energy coming through another person, right? So I think that's really cool to really experience that, and yeah, like it just helps me feel that like we're always being perfectly guided on our twin flame journey. Like that phrase that like the entire universe is conspiring for your good or for your harmonious union, and like that's true.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up because the more that you do ascension coaching, um, even though my coach isn't with me, it's like her spirit's with me, and there's times where I'm moving through something and I can literally hear her voice as she's right next to me, shout out to Chrissy, that like telling me how to move through it. And so it's like that energy of just their spirit being there and moving you through it, even though she's physically on this world. It's wonderful to be able to still have just that. It's kind of like just, I don't even know how to explain it. How I visualize it is if you see like Cupid with a bow and arrow, and then like the thought just be like shot right at you and it just comes out of nowhere and you're like, oh, like thank you for that, and then you just move forward. But I do find that happens a lot for me, and I've had clients say the same thing where they're in the middle of something and they're like, all of a sudden I hear your voice and you're telling me how to move through it, and I finally get to a place of peace, and I find that that's really cool.
Did we
What
lost
happened?
we lost Christina, I think.
We lost Christina. Oh no. And we're still live, so that's okay. Uh,
Okay, it's fine. Yeah.
but yeah, so it's cool that we are able to still help each other out in that space, even though we may not be physically in that space. Did we
Yeah.
get Christina back?
That's yeah, we have
Sorry
Christina.
about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think that's happened to me a lot when like now before I had more of this experience with spirit guys when I was outside, because I was healing a lot about feeling safe in the outside. And now it's more happen when I do the mirror exercise or in dream, but partly in the mirror exercise. Yeah, sometimes, when I go in the step 4, when I go to the part of me that need to be loved, well, at one point I just can't. It's just like, I can't even I have access to this part, but I just know I can't love them. I just need something more. And just that's at this moment that, like, I know it's like the whole scene is changing and there are like spirit guys that appear in different way. I remember one day, it's like was almost 1 year ago, when I realized that I wanted to go back in science. Well, it was because I was doing a mirror exercise and there was a bunch of people in front of me, and there was all scientists from, like, generation and generation for like centuries, like the really big guys, like that did a lot in science. And there was like, why are you not coming back? And they were just like that. They were like, what are you doing? Why are you not coming back? And I just, like, there was like not leaving until I made sure that I told them, like, yeah, I'm going back. And until there was, okay, I make a new choice there. I remember they left, and in front of me there was kind of a throne, and there was like Jeff and Sheila sitting there, and there was a God, and there was like God was like, oh, come sit with us. It was really interesting, and I go and I sat there, but like, and that's, was the healing I needed to do. So a lot of time that's happened to me, this kind of more visitation, if I can say, or vision, I don't know how you call that, but yeah, that's allowed to heal. That's happened a lot, yeah.
I love that. I know that Jeff and Shalia have touched on this before, especially using the mirror exercise. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is fake. And so I could see how that, just what you explained, to some people they may feel like they're crazy. But it's like, no, this is part of your support. You're so complex, you're a divine spiritual being having a human experience. And so it is truly important that you are allowing yourself to follow your guidance, to follow that voice that you're like, huh, interesting. Like, do I follow it, or am I crazy that I follow it? And I even had this experience 2 days ago where I had the flu or a cold for 2 days, and I had about 102 fever. And I'm laying in bed and I'm like, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too cold. And I just was so frustrated. And I started to fall asleep. And I heard as if someone said something like, you need to go outside. And I was like, are you crazy? I'm not going outside. I'm sick. And so I'm trying to fall back to sleep. And I hear it again, you need to go outside. And I was over it. So I was like, fine. And I get up and I throw on my sweats and I go downstairs and I look down and I picked it up and I kept it. And it's a rock that was a shape of a heart. And I was like, okay, this is beautiful. Put it in my pocket. And I went to go lay out in the grass. It was a beautiful sunny day, super beautiful clouds. And I put my feet in the grass and I just lay there. And probably like 5 minutes in, I was like, I actually feel better. Like, I feel like so much better for whatever reason. And I was just like, it's because like Mother Gaia is so healing and being in nature is so healing. And because I was just saying, like, I desire to heal, I desire to feel better. And my angels or spirit guides were like, go outside so we can help you do that. And that right there was like, it's just another step of being able to trust your intuition, trust what you hear, trust the guidance that you receive. And then once you receive it and you see that you're not crazy, it's again deeper trust with God and being able to know that it's okay to follow each step, even if it seems a little crazy and out there. It's perfect for you, and you have to allow that. And like Christina said, be open to receiving it.
But being crazy, that's interesting because that's exactly what happened to me. Like, since I'm very young, it's something I kind of discovered some time ago, but since I'm very young, like, I can always talk with God, kind of see God at my side, and a lot of time I was like, yeah, just me that invent that. And some weeks ago, I realized I had the same thing with Jesus too, was always there, at my side when I needed, and like a lot of time in the day. And for me, because I have that since I'm very young, I was like, it's like children, they invent an invisible friend or something. It was for me in my mind like that. So I was like, what? It's not real. It's in my mind. Obviously, it's in my mind. Everything is in my mind. But it took me like, I think it was months ago that I realized that, oh, it was like a spirit guide. That was really God. That was really Jesus there. That was there, for me. Because before I was thinking it was a made up thing in my mind. And I didn't know, yeah, if it was really true or not. But I realized that anyway, it doesn't really matter if it's real or not, because the fact that it's here, there is a meaning. So even if it's not really truly Jesus that come here, well, in my mind, it is. So that's all that matter. I have this experience, and that helped me to move forward, to move through something. So that's all that matter. It doesn't really matter if it was really Jesus, really God, or something I made up. At the end, it's always God showing me a place where I can access more love and I can have support. So it's all that matter, I think. So
Yeah, that reminds me of like maybe a block that people might have to calling in spiritual support through like their spirit guides is like a fear of, because I think in some, uh like traditions, like there is this idea that you shouldn't talk to the spirit world, right? That's actually like a block that I work through, which is probably why that like I haven't really developed like a really deep relationship with like a spirit guide, because I still work through this energy of like, is that okay? There's like blocks that I work through in that space. And as long as you're making the core choice to receive that, like receive support from God, right? Like recognizing that like you're making that core choice to receive support from God. God can come through whichever form is appropriate for you.
it just remind me like it's really depending of how you grew with like the culture and everything, because like for me, I come from France and my grandmother was very Catholic and I was going to the church a lot when I was young. I really enjoyed that because she didn't have this kind of real religion thing. For her it was like it's love, that's all that matter. And I remember since I was very young, she was always saying like, God watch everything you do. So I'm autistic. I was super young, so in my mind it was like, oh, then he's here, he's like there at my side. I can just see it, but he's there and watching everything I do. That's the only thing that came in my mind, and that's why since that I see God at my side. But that's come from that, because yeah, my grandmother was saying that. The same with Jesus. She was like, yeah, he's a son of God, so he'll also see what you do. This kind of thing. It's really funny.
I love that too, because it really like is almost a physical representation of like what's the word I'm looking for? Res Forget it. It's like just a physical way of you not seeing God as separate from you, is what I'm trying to say. And I think for me growing up, I was always like God and like look to the sky and just think he was some invisible man in the sky. And so I love that at such a young age that you're able to just feel that he's right here. And I think it's a very beautiful thing. And I've said the same thing with my boys too, where they they think that sometimes God tells on them because as a mom, you have like the sense of that your kids are doing something. And the more in tuned with them you are, the more that you can sense when they're doing something. And so there are times where they'll be doing whatever they're doing, and I'll call them out from another room. And they're like, did God tell you I was doing that? And I was like, God and I partner in everything. All right. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can have that too. That's what you choose. You got to use it for good. So I love that you grew up in the sense of just knowing that he was right there instead of something outside of you or separate from you. I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, for my grandmother, it was really like something that was like part of the family to do. And I remember when I was probably 5, I was playing Lego, and I was like building something, and I was like, oh, I'm missing one. And I kind of looked for like 10 minutes. I never found a good color. And then I look back and I had this one was there was no hole anymore. It was full. I was like, what the fuck? And after I got to my grandmother, I was like, God, make a miracle, just because of my Lego. And it was really fun, Like now I think about that, probably not. I didn't really look carefully, but in my mind it was like, oh, it was a miracle. And I was 5. I was like, okay, God can do Lego miracle. He can do any type of miracle. Then it's very fun.
I mean, it could be a possibility. This is a gift that I have been practicing and honing in on, where I misplace something and I would always look for it and like get into this rush and this upset and this freak out that I couldn't find it. And I would finally learn to surrender and just ask God or my angels to like show me where it is. And once I was still enough, I would get an image of where it would be. And then I would follow it and I would find it. And so I didn't really start honing in on this until I started doing this work. And the first time we had misplaced the remote, I looked for it for days and I was just so frustrated. I was like, I'm not going to pay $50 for another one. God, can you just show me where it is? And in my mind, he showed me where it was. And I was like, no, I've already looked there. So I finally went to go look there again and I like dumped the bag upside down and there's the remote. So I decided, okay, I'm going to practice this. And so I've gotten so good at it that my oldest was like, can you teach me how to do that? So I explained to him how I do it. And one day we misplaced the remote again. His brother is really good at that. And so I told him, I was like, do what I taught you. And so he's just like, God, can you please show me where the remote is? Kind of like sarcastic. And then he sits there for a minute. He gets up, goes straight into my bedroom, which is not the last, but it's like last place I thought it would be. And he like flips some things over and he's like, I found it. Oh my gosh, it worked. Like he like freaked out about it. And so now it's something in our home where it's like, if you're looking for something, ask God. That's not my job anymore. Like you have source you got it taken care of on your own. Let me know when you find it. All right. So it's absolutely a gift that you have so many gifts. God's given you so many gifts that it's just you open to receiving them and honing in on them and practicing them. And it's beautiful. Like you are a divine limitless being.
I do the same when I lost something. It was the same. I like because when I was very younger, I was always like super feeling bad when I lost something, and then with this work and that I realized, oh, I can just ask God. I hear my upset, and then it come and I feel I'm drawn to the place where it is, and I know where it is. Always, it's really you find it. Yeah, it's funny that you teach your children. So fun.
I grew up Catholic, so I grew up asking Saint Anthony, and it's the same thing. I find it within 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, what I would say to somebody who is wanting to deepen their connection to, spirituality and deepen their like spiritual experience on their twin flame journey is, the best thing that you can do is actually begin learning the teachings of union, because, you were created with that perfect connection to the divine. You were created with that perfect connection to the spirit world, but because of a variety of reasons, we might experience blocks to it. Just beliefs that we've, created in our heart that like don't serve us. And the mirror exercise is an extremely powerful way to heal those blocks faster than anything else that like really exists out there. It helps you really come to the clarity that you need of why you're holding on to that block, and so that you can pull it apart and release it and see the truth. And that helps you really deepen your connection to the divine and really like, as Jeff and Shalia say, like purify your heart, right? Like you're clearing your heart out of all the things that would stand in the way of a very clear connection. And it's the same process that you would work to come together with your twin flame, because that your perfect union already exists, and you're just working through the blocks to see the truth of it. Yeah. So is everybody feeling complete on our topic? Yeah. Yeah. So, if you are interested in learning more about the teachings of union, there is the introductory course that you can find on twinflamesuniverse.com. It's a great start, as well as, the Twin Flames Universe YouTube channel. And yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. We're always here to support you. So without further ado, so we'll conclude this live. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.